What is going on, everybody? It's LG Doucette here, and we're back for another episode of The First Mint. Phil's D is not on with me right now. He'll be on in a second. I'm just recording an intro afterwards, actually. We've already recorded the episode, but, I always record a little intro, and I thought this one definitely needed a bit of an intro. A couple things you should know. We literally spend the first, I think, 20 minutes not talking about NFTs or even sports at all. Phil actually joins us in this one from a parking lot. He's parked in a parking lot at York University in Canada, waiting to pick up his son. And that immediately sparks a whole different conversation about whether our parents listen to the podcast, whether they like it or don't like it, that we swear, whether our parents swear when we're not around, and then a whole 10-minute segment about Phil talking about his car troubles and his lease and this whole thing. So if you want to get to the sports part, just skip right to the I think maybe like the 20-minute mark or so of the podcast that you're listening to right now, 21-minute mark. After that, we do talk about the NCAA. We talk about bracketology, how hard it is, like honestly, just how insane it is to try and do this thing every year. And then how many different NFT projects are actually going to be featuring March Madness NFTs, or rather not NFTs, some kind of March Madness bracket that they're doing in their community. No projects are featuring March Madness NFTs this year. In fact, there have never been March Madness NFTs. There have been college basketball NFTs on Recur, but March Madness has never touched that. And Phil and I get really incensed about that. We end up talking about what that should look like, how big of a missed opportunity it is to not have March Madness NFTs, and then also, whether some of these projects out there that are doing free NFT mints right now, whether that is a good or a bad strategy to onboard other degens in the space or to just onboard the masses. We also talk about some of the big spenders lately on NBA Top Shot, including somebody who just spent $35,000 this past weekend buying a bunch of different moments, including a LeBron anthology legendary moment, which is the moment where he breaks the NBA all-time scoring records. We talk about that amidst kind of a longer cut there where we talk about free mints, and that's kind of like the crux of today's episode, is talking about that onboarding. It's also this week's hot take, where we ask you guys, the audience, to give us your hot take on a certain matter, which this week was what it's going to take to onboard the masses to sports NFTs. So we read those answers out and award the winner at the end of the episode. Also, there's a small segment in there towards the end about Power Slap, which is a slap fighting league that was just purchased by the UFC, which they had their first competition of this past weekend. So a bit of a slow week this week in NFTs, honestly, and in sports. Everything gets kind of taken over by March Madness at this point. So we mainly focus on that, and again on those missed opportunities, and honestly, what's next for sports NFTs, and how maybe free mints or low cost mints, or like play of the day like they had on Candy, how that could maybe help bring some of the broader sports market into the space. As usual, this is a fun one. And also, I will warn you that there are a few times where the conversation cut out, where we lost Phil D. So you might hear a few kind of chunky cuts as I kind of edit it together and post as best I could. But either way, it's another fantastic episode of The First Mint. So enjoy.
Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content? Look no further, cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, and pack drops. The show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to ball since the Ball Brothers. So settle in, cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Okay. Phil D joining us from the front seat of a car. Holy shit. What's up, transporter? What's going on?
You can't always be in the home studio, LG. So, the show must go on. If you can't be home and you can't be in your place of comfort to do recordings and stuff like that, the show must go on. So I'm coming to you live from the campus of York University in Toronto, where I'm just hanging out here like some creeper in the parking lot, sitting just watching people all day.
Okay. Do you want to clarify why you're there? Maybe tell us that you're not actually there to be a creeper.
No.
Maybe that would
I'm
help.
not here to be a creeper. I'm just here to pick my son up when he's done his classes in like 2-3 hours, because my entire life is pretty much spent chauffeuring this 18-year-old who has his license, but it doesn't have a car yet. He's about to get a car. My entire life was pretty much spent picking him up, dropping him off, taking him all over the world. Things we do as parents, right?
Wow.
That is a
Wow.
huge
What's
wow.
the scene in the parking lot right now? I feel like it's chaos because that is like for
It's
people who
chaos,
don't
man.
know in the US, especially like York is like I think the biggest university in Canada in terms of like student size. The campus is like used to be in a field. Now there's other buildings around it, but like for long, even our dad went there, right? Our dad went there like a million years ago, like 50 years ago or
A
whatever. And it
million
was
years ago.
sorry,
It's gonna
Dad.
kill you.
It's true.
Whoops.
But even back then, it was like you had to like, take a horse to get there so far. So it's like, but now it's a huge, huge school, like 200,000 students or something. So what's the scene in the parking lot?
The
Super
scene
busy.
is you're gonna see a lot of cars go by, a lot of chaos. I don't care. I park myself right in the middle of the chaos where it says no parking or stopping allowed. And I'll be here for the next whatever time we're here. You may even see security come up to my window and tell me to move, but it doesn't matter. Like I said,
Oh
the show
wow.
must go on. But yeah, I remember when I came here on this campus years and years and years ago, I attended Seneca College here, and
Mm,
they had a teacher strike once, to the point
mhm.
where they would allow one car on campus every 30 minutes. Okay. And back then, I drove a Pontiac Sunfire, so we could
Oh
afford
yeah.
to just do whatever you want with it, sort
Classic.
of.
Yeah.
Dad, I hope you're not listening, but I know you
Was
are.
it a 98? A
Um,
98 Sunfire? Just to paint the
yeah,
picture
it
for
was
people.
something like a '98 Sunfire, one of those. Look that
Nice.
up.
Green. It was
And
green.
because the teachers or whoever the heck was striking back there would block the parking lot and only allow you onto campus every 30 minutes, one car, we started going over the grass. And we're not just talking about a patch of grass, we're talking like fields of grass, like huge fields. We were
Mhm.
going in and out of craters, and we would illegally get into the parking lot like that because there was no other way into the parking lot, right? But good memories. You had to get to class. Like it's unbelievable that teachers or whoever it was that was striking would strike and kind of block students from going to class. But no, there's a lot of hustle and bustle here, LG. Ever since they have the subway that comes to York
Mhm.
University now,
Oh yeah,
it has
that's
kind
right.
of been a game changer, right?
That's it. They
Every
finally built.
Yahoo,
Yeah.
every Yahoo from downtown Toronto can end up at York University now, which is for those who don't know, is kind of northwest of the city. Every Yahoo in the world can end up here by just taking the subway all day and getting off at
Mhm.
the last stop at the very end. We didn't have that back in our day, so pretty wild
Mhm.
times here.
I've never been to that campus. I don't ever
Whoa,
I've never had a reason to go there, and I have literally never been there. Like, I don't even know what it looks like.
that
Like,
is
I
crazy.
couldn't even point it out on a map. Like, I've never been there, having grown up
How
in
is that
Toronto.
even possible?
I don't know, and
Well,
I drove around
I
there
am
many times. I don't know where it is.
I'm positive that our mom and dad must have taken us on one of those car rides when we were younger, and at some point drove through the campus of York University and said,
Oh,
"Hey,
you're right.
this is where we used to
Yeah,
go.
for
Check it
sure.
out." 100%
Now
that
that you
happened.
said that, I have, like, an image in my head. That's definitely that.
There's no doubt
Anybody who's a
that
kid
that
in the
happened.
90s, remember your parents are like on a Saturday, rainy Saturday afternoon, they're like, let's go for a drive. And then you're in the car for like 8 hours just driving around like places they grew up and shit. And you're like, okay.
That didn't happen to anyone, LG, just us. That was something we did. Listen, mom and dad, we loved it. Listen, lots of good car rides. I remember when I got old enough to say, I don't want to go on these anymore. Leave me at
Oh,
home.
no.
Leave
And
me
then I
at
was
home.
alone. And then I was alone. Oh, man.
Leave
That was
me
like a
at home.
life-changing thing where I was like then alone for those long ass car rides, man. What a mess. Thank God I
We
had like
have
your
to
Game Boy to keep me
talk about
occupied.
LG. I mean, we just mentioned our parents listening to this podcast. We have to mention what happened a couple weeks ago because we recorded, I believe, on what was it? Was it a Monday? It was a Monday.
Yeah, we record Mondays
And
now. Yeah.
I didn't even know you were going to do this, but you dropped the podcast literally like 2 or 3 hours after we recorded,
Right
which is
after.
Monday
Yeah.
night,
Episode 200. It was the relaunch. You
episode
and I hosting
200.
every week. Yeah.
Yes. And our mom, of course, naturally, we get a text. And the text said, "Whoa," or something like that. Why is it out now? Or like, it's supposed to come out tomorrow.
Because I'd said that they
You
would
had
come out
said
on
that.
Tuesdays. I'd said they'd come out on Tuesdays. Because
Oh,
I
okay.
figured, because Phil, I figured we'd record on Mondays, but I didn't know what time we were going to
Okay.
record. So I figured we'd record and then I'd like post later that night and it would be out
Okay.
for because most people like listen. What I've learned about doing 2 years of podcasting now, most people listen to podcasts early in the friggin' morning, right? Like shout out like people in our community, like Jump Shoot, right? Is like literally sends me DMs at like 2 a.m. my time because I'm on Pacific West Coast. And he's like, great show today. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I checked that the next morning. I'm like, what the hell? And he wakes up at like 4:30 in the morning to like work out in his garage or whatever. So a lot of people listen, like a lot of people wake up early. They got kids, gym, long commutes. People listen to the podcast early. So anyways, that's where that came from. I was like, it'll be there Tuesday mornings for you because a lot of people like it nice and served up early in the morning. But
And
yeah, mom snapped it. Mom snapped at
and
us.
our mom God bless her. She listens to, I mean, she loves our stuff. Let's be honest. She loves that we're recording together. And which mom wouldn't, right? You want your two sons recording together, doing things together. That's awesome. And she's always supported us and listened to absolutely everything. So to see that message, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, she didn't expect this. And she mentioned that I will be listening with your dad. We'll be listening to it tomorrow. We're not listening tonight. It's too late right now. We want you probably sit down and listen to it. We're going to put it on tomorrow. So I said, oh, great. She's going to listen to it. She's going to love it. We're going to get our usual, comments of support and praise. Then it hit me a week later that we never heard back from her.
Never heard back.
Like we never heard back.
Mom left us hanging. So the original text to both of us was, "What's going on, guys?" And this is at 6:00 my time on Monday, February 27th. "What's going on, guys? I had you in my calendar for tomorrow," and there's 2 exclamation marks and 2 question marks. "As per the above post," and it's a screenshot from Twitter saying it's going to come out on Tuesdays. "You said Tuesdays? Today is Monday," and then like a ton of emojis. "And what happened to the llama?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was. She's not gonna like this.
I was like,
and
then I was like, "We recorded early," and then she's like, "Great, we will listen to the podcast as scheduled tomorrow." Nothing since. Haven't heard a
scheduled.
Yeah,
So
as scheduled.
The reason though that it kind of raised alarm bells with me, and I asked LG, "Have you heard from her since?" No. Does that mean she didn't like the podcast? Because we always hear from her, no matter what. And I'm trying to think back. Did we swear a lot? Like, did we go just crazy on that thing?
Not more than usual. We didn't swear more than usual. Like it, and you know what's funny
It's a
too,
little
Phil,
awkward.
is like I don't know how other people grew up, but it's like naturally, like even as you don't swear a lot as you grow. You swear more as you get older, right? Probably swear a lot when you're like 12 when you learn swear words. You figure out you can say them all the time with your friends. But then but even if you swear as adults, right? Even if you swear amongst your adult friends, like with your spouse or your friends at work or just your regular buddies, most people, or at least I assume, like me, I still don't really like swear in front of our parents, right? Because it's kind of weird. You don't swear in front of people that used to tell you not to swear. Like it's something about us very disrespectful. So listening to our show, Phil, Mom and Dad have heard us swear way more than they ever have in their lives. And they now, like, listening to the show makes them realize how much we swear when they're not around. Right? Like, imagine anybody listening, like, imagine your parents listen to your conversations with your friends. And you said all this like weird, gross shit that you probably say with your friends. Not that Phil and I talk about gross stuff, but you know what I mean? Like it'd be weird if your parents heard that all the time. Right. So that's like, think about that dynamic that when they're listening to this and one of us says something like really naughty.
The real question is, how much do they swear when we're not around? That's the better question. It could be something.
Do they swear in French or in English?
Both. I say both. I say mostly English for sure. There's definitely some swear words. Now, Mom maybe more. I could see it. Okay, but Dad absolutely not. Like I don't think I've ever heard him swear. Maybe
so
one
you think?
Time.
So what's okay? Well, no. If Dad drops a huge F-bomb, what circumstance is it? Like he's watching like a Jays game and they blow the lead or something? Like
chance.
What's it like? He was watching a Habs game or something? Like in what circumstances Dad drop the biggest F-bomb?
I've learned already that what's the end of the world for me in sports is nothing like Dad's end of the world in sports. Like the worst thing ever will happen to one of our teams, and for Dad it'll be like, I mean, he gets mad. He'll get mad, but
he'll get mad.
He will not go nuclear the way I go if like the Leafs lose one game. You know what I mean? Like it's never on that level, and I think that's kind of where. Anyways, for me, I've kind of learned my calm ways in times where I lose my mind. Forget driving. Driving's a whole other story. Like that I lose my mind and nothing will calm me down. But in real life, where I've kind of tried to stay calm in tough situations, I think I've learned from Dad. I'm not going to lie. Just because of how calm he's always remained in so many
around you. How calm he's remained around you. That doesn't mean he doesn't go freaking nuts. So what we got to do is next time we see them, we got to ask them individually while the other one's not in the room. Be like, does Mom swear or does Dad swear? That we have to corner them. That's how it has to go down.
That'll get suspicious. He'll think we're up to something. You can't ask him that. No, he already gets suspicious of absolutely everything we do around him. So it's not going to happen. I really doubt it. I have to get your opinion on this, LG. It's been on my mind all day, and I have to kind of switch things up a little bit here. So I'm actually sitting in a car that I'm supposed to be returning tomorrow. It's a leased car. I lease all my cars. Okay. I don't really want to deal with I've thought of buying a car, but I don't want to deal with the issues that can come with a car. I prefer the lease way. I get a lease through my work, and I just prefer it this way. Now, here's my dilemma. Okay. I've already done the lease end inspection and it came back clean. So I won't be owing any money when I return this car. But on my way to work this morning, all right, the tire pressure monitor light came on, which happens in the winter. Man, I hope nobody's listening. I always try and screw myself with these things. Seriously. Anyways, so the tire pressure monitor came on.
Yeah.
I stopped at a gas station. I said, man, I will lose my shit if I have a flat tire again. I've had 3 or 4 this winter. There are potholes the size of. Oh no! If you see the potholes here, I can't.
Yeah, it's potholes. Yeah, yeah.
It is potholes galore, and at night you cannot see them. So, anyways, I have a look in the tire. It tells me which tire. I have a pretty cool car. It tells me which tire is down. It tells me the left rear. So I go outside. I look. It is down. It's not flat. I have run flats anyway, so I can drive on it. But I hear a little fizzling sound, like a. I'm like, oh hell no! Right? I take a closer look, and I see a screw. As wedged into the tire as can be. Okay, deep. It's really deep in there, and it's bubbling. Okay, I am less than 48 hours from returning this vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, this tire, replacing the tire, will cost me $500 or $600.
Right.
All right. This is how they are. These high performance tires, even it's even worse at the run flat, will cost you a fortune to replace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't repair it, I think. So here's my dilemma. I could try and repair it. I've heard that you can maybe get it plugged, all right, and pay 60 or 70 bucks.
Yeah.
Or here's what I'm leaning towards. Do I just fill it up with air right before returning it, return it so that there's no tire pressure monitor blinking or anything when I return it, and then a couple of days later or even same day when they go move the car to the back lot or wherever they move the car when I return to the dealership, tell them that they did that, not me. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Do they not inspect it right when you bring it back?
No, they do the inspection like a week before. That's how it works. They contract a company to do the inspection on the car for any sorts of damage.
And they drive it around for a while after that anyways.
You can drive it around for a week after that, right? But I'm pretty sure you're still liable for anything that happens to it when you turn it in. If you turn it in with a cracked windshield and that wasn't there a week before, you're liable. But a nail in the tire, that could actually last a couple of days before it shows up on the tire pressure monitor. And their lot at a delership is full of garbage. Like, let's be honest, a lot of dealerships have crap. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to send that thing back. Okay.
What are they going to do to it? If there's a punctured tire, what's their process?
Well, to identify if it happened with me or with them, right?
No, but I'm saying whether they do or not, what do they then do with the car, regardless of what the deal with you?
The car goes to auction after. That's how it works, right? It goes to auction.
Okay.
So they do have to take care of any issues like that. But it might not show up for it. It's a slow leak. It could show up.
But would they plug it? Would they plug it, or would they get a new tire?
Absolutely not. They would get a new tire because
they would get a new tire. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not selling a plug tire. Definitely not. And if I look online or if I talk to anyone at a dealer and tell them what should I do with this, they'll tell you get a new tire. This is what they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna return it. And I think I'm going to try and pull this off. And I'll probably have an update next week if it worked. But if it can sit in that lot for a couple of days and the tire pressure monitor not be on while they move it around to the truck to wherever they're moving it, then that nail could have gone in there anywhere along the way, right? So I think I'm going to pull that stunt off and feel like an absolute rebel these next couple of days and see if I can be like the genius of the century by not paying an extra $500 or $600, which is more than a monthly payment.
Hear me out. I like your plan. Can you, the day after you drop it off, can you hop the fence at the dealership and drop a bunch of nails everywhere so that everyone's like, oh, it's because there were a bunch of nails in the parking lot? Can you plant evidence that wasn't there?
Well, I could do that while I'm there dropping the car off. I could just launch nails all over the parking lot. Then,
well, hide them in your pants and shake your pants a little bit, like
because the
Shawshank Redemption style.
You drop off the car in the parking lot and you go inside with your keys and you say, hey, I'm returning this car. They go outside, they get your plates off the car, they put it on the new car, and then they send you off on your way. Then I assume a car jockey comes out, moves your car to the back lot where it will go on the truck the next day. So if I can get that tire pressure monitor, and I actually tested it out, I put air in it to put it back to standard about an hour ago, and it has not gone down at all on the tire pressure monitor, not even a little bit. So I've got an hour at least. And if that car jockey moves that car from the lot to the back lot, then I have kind of an alibi here saying that, hey, that happened when you guys did that. Right? Sound good?
Well, either way, Phil, you're going to have to update us on what happens with this, no matter what you choose. And then every week we need a full on update of Phil's dealership dealership
Scam.
dealings, scams. All right, anybody listening, we don't endorse this behavior. This is reality show level hijinks that Phil is up to, mainly for your entertainment, the community. Okay, so
Definitely.
do not try this at home. If this is happening to you, do whatever you think is right.
There is nothing more frustrating than going an entire 24,000 kilometers on this car with nothing. Okay, picture perfect. And then the day before you're supposed to return it.
Phil, let's actually talk. Let's actually talk about at least let's talk about sports a bit. Kind of a quiet week on the NFT circuit. I mean, there's always crazy stuff going on, but obviously the big news in crypto was like the SVB Bank and Signature and all that kind of stuff over the weekend. I'd say that's not really like upper alley. We covered it a bit in the newsletter, but basically, too long didn't read for that. Is that banks have been naughty, over leveraging themselves and getting caught on their bluff. And now the government's going to bail them out. And you had a chance to buy a lot of stuff for cheap on Friday and Saturday. And now things have rebounded like crazy. That's it. The crisis is over.
Wow.
And we got a whole other week ahead of us, Phil D. The only thing that matters right now, honestly, in the sports world, and this happens every March, is March Madness, right? Like that's the only thing. Like everything else takes a backseat. Like nobody cares about freaking NBA on TNT marquee matchup of like Bucks Warriors, which I think was Saturday or whatever. Like those matchups don't matter this week. Like the main thing that people want to talk about is March Madness brackets. Phil D, have you completed any brackets yet? Have you even started?
I'm the worst when it comes to brackets. I can safely say that every single year I kind of put it off. Like I do almost everything. I'm like the biggest procrastinator in history of procrastination. Seriously, with everything. And I always put it off. And back in the day when I used to fill out my brackets on ESPN.com, which was the only place I knew where to fill them out back in the day, I used to wait so long, and we're talking the morning of, that the whole website would just crash. And with like 2 hours left, anyone who hadn't done their brackets were totally screwed because the website it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And that was me every single year. It's still the way I operate. I still have not even looked at the bracket. I've looked at the start times for the games. I've glanced it over, but I have not even like begun to think of what I'm going to do with it. And I likely won't fill it out till the night before. It's just how I am. And it's not because I watch shows or listen to podcasts or do all this analysis. I really don't. I don't know what it is. I often go with my gut when it comes to the bracket. It is a bit of a mistake because there's so many intangibles that are involved with bracketology. It's true. Like going with your gut and what you just saw in the conference tournaments is almost never what happens in the actual tournament. You always have, I mean, people love to pick upsets. And I even looked at my son's bracket today, and he's got, some 3 seeds in the final 4. He's got some 4 seeds, some 5 seeds that go pretty far. But if you look at the history of the tournament, it is so rare that number 1 seeds don't make it far. If you look at every year, there's only a handful of times.
Very very rarely do number 1 seeds not go all the way.
Yeah, it happens, but there's only a handful of times over the last 20 years where the favorites have not kind of gone to the end, whether it be a 1 or 2 seed or whatever it is. It's just super rare. So I was always kind of, you get so caught up in these early round upsets because they do happen. I feel they don't happen as much as they used to, that I would select, some of these underdogs to go like really far, because we've seen that a couple of times the last 20 years, but not often. And then my final 4 was always, like an 11 seed, a 1 seed, a 4 seed, and a 5 seed, which makes no sense. The 1 seeds usually win out. But you know what? Anything goes in that tournament, to be honest with you. I'm pretty stoked. I do watch a lot of college basketball, and I think it works against me sometimes when I do my brackets. What you really have to look at, and I've learned this from other people, is kind of the matchups, right? A tremendous team could run into a really bad matchup from sort of a mediocre team, and they're screwed, right? Whether it be size or whatever it is, or a team that can shoot the 3 and they can't defend the perimeter. You have to really look at matchups, right? I also love Cinderella stories in terms of if the team has a good kind of backstory. I like to back them. Duke this year, no Coach K this year for the first time in God knows how many years. They just won the ACC tournament when and they're something like 18-1 when all their players are healthy, which has been only a small portion of the year. And Duke comes in as a 5 seed, and it's like, whoa, hold on a second. But am I going to pick a 5? You know what? Everybody's going to pick Duke now. They just won the ACC tournament. So can they go on a run like that in the big dance? I don't know, man. I don't think I'm going to pick them to go that far because it'd be too easy to just go based on the emotions that I saw from the ACC tournament and pick them to go into the Final Four. But they're 18-1 with all their players, all their starters healthy. So it's like, what do you do, right?
I think the thing too is that it's like, you're right. It's like you probably have the highest rate of success just picking top seeds, like especially the teams that are like far and above. But the thing is that you're not going to win anything by doing that. Right. It's kind of like playing fantasy, even like playing So Rare and stuff like that. It's like, you're not going to win just picking the best players. Right. It's like, you need to take a huge risk. So you got to pick some like one or two super random teams. And if you look back at the 2021 bracket, UCLA, who was in one of the first 4 matchups, like they played in the first 4, they beat Michigan State by like 6 points or something like that. They went all the way to the Final Four and lost by 3 points to Gonzaga, who lost then to Baylor. But it's like that, like anything can happen like that, right? So that's the part.
Schools like that, though, like UCLA, always draw some of the top talent. So it makes sense that they go on runs like that. It's a question of finding a team that has the potential. Like one team that could have done that this year was Ohio State. So Ohio State had one of their worst regular seasons ever this year. They lost something like 13 games in a row, which in college basketball is unheard of unless you're just a small school that really sucks. So they lost 12 or 13 games in a row. They had multiple 10-plus game losing streaks. But in the conference tournament, they went all the way to the semifinals as the 14 seed out of what had to be out of 14, I guess. I don't think anybody was worse than them. No, I think it was 16 seeds. I think Minnesota was worse. Now, how many teams are there? I don't think 10. I don't know. Anyways, a lot. I can't think. I don't know how many teams are, but and had they not lost their leading scorer for that semifinal game, which they still competed in against Purdue, who knows? They could have won that tournament, made the field, and actually gone on a run. But Ohio State was one of the biggest jokes the entire year. But because they recruit some of the top talent in the country, not so much as they used to back in like the Greg Oden days and all that, and Aaron Kraft and guys like that. But back in those days, they used to. Mike Conley, some big names, Evan Turner. But they still recruit some of the top recruits. So that group of players could put it together at any time and go on a run. And then you have the small schools, the little tiny schools like Murray State. I think it was forgot what year was that Murray State went on a crazy run. I think they even went to the Final Four. There was no jaw in that.
Wasn't that then. No, that wasn't the jaw year. That wasn't the jaw year you think about, the 2 years.
Yeah, but teams like that could go on a Cinderella run, which does happen. Yeah. But I've learned over the years to not try and pick those. If they happen, chances are most other people don't have it on their bracket either. So not to worry too much about these teams that are going to, you're going to lose if you try and pick the Cinderella because it's never the team you think, right?
Have you ever done well in one of these? In like 30 years of playing brackets? Like, have you ever done well? Like how well have you done?
Well, it depends how you gauge it. ESPN has like 8 million entries every year, or like 20 million entries. So finishing in the top 50,000 would be considered good. But there was one year where I think I finished in the top 1,000 or something, way back, or not way back. I'd have to go back. And on ESPN, you can look at your history of brackets. And there was one year where I finished near the top. But to be honest, you have to pick the winner. You have to pick the winner to win. And you have to do well in the group, in the round of the first and second round.
In the first round, you have to do well in the round of like 61-32, right? Like
you can make a few mistakes later, but
yeah, that's what I always found is that it's like if you make I always sucked, like I was so bad, but it's like you can maybe pick, even if you do pick a good Final Four, like obviously you get more points, but if you get so many of the first round matchups wrong, which honestly, like I feel like so many of them are like a 50-50 toss up, because my problem is that I don't follow as much as you do. So as a result, I know I know of like 3 or 4 of the teams that I've read some stories about or watched 1 or 2 games here and there, right? Probably usually I'm watching those games in like February or in March because it's like in the lead up. And usually when they're getting more, at least broadcast time in Canada. So it's like I know the story and a few of the players on a few of the teams, but it's like you're looking at some of these matchups. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to pick who's going to win between freaking Iowa State and Mississippi State? Like how, or sorry, Mississippi State and Pitt are playing for a play-in this year. So like who I don't even know. I can't even name you anybody's on either of those teams. Right. It's like I haven't thought of those teams since the last time they were in a tournament. So
it's not just that. Even if you could name players, it's how do they match up against each other? Right?
Exactly.
Really
and then even being right on that. right? Because then there's
It's
still
tough.
huge upsets that happen. There's still 15 seeds that break through and go like 2,
Yeah,
3 rounds,
it's tough
right?
actually.
So
If
it's
you look at the
yeah.
history of people, I remember I reached out to somebody who won the ESPN pool one time,
Mhm.
and I found him on Twitter actually. This is ages ago, and I'm like, "Are you that dude who's in first right now with like one game left?" And he was like, "Yeah," and he was like a soccer goalie in the U.S. for like some small college. I'm serious. So
Yeah,
I don't know. There's no right. I mean, with all the experts or the so-called experts out there,
yeah.
they don't typically win the March Madness pool. They just don't. That's
Mhm,
not how it
mhm.
works, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be picking some of the one seats to go pretty far. I don't like
What is
Purdue. I
the,
like, yeah, I don't
what
know.
did you
There's a
see the thing
massive
that
Canadian guy on Purdue, LG. I don't know if you've seen him.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, I know
yeah,
all
that
about
guy's
him.
all over
Yeah,
the
Zach
news
Eddy,
here.
yeah.
That guy's, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, we
but
get a lot of I mean, naturally in Canada, we get a lot of coverage of the Canadian players too,
oh,
right? So we
there's a
get
ton of
fed
them
a
too.
lot of that kind of stuff, right? So I remember like the Kelly Olynyk years and stuff.
Oh God,
Like this guy's
that's right.
great.
Yeah, that's right. No, but it's
So
true though. Every
yeah.
year, yeah. RJ Barrett with Duke was pretty wild. That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, with Zion.
Him
Yeah,
and
so that was
Zion
pretty
were
good.
him
Yeah.
and Zion
Yeah.
were like, running mates there. So that was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
exciting for
yeah.
us
Went
Canadians.
1
That
and
was
3
all
with
over. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's like a huge deal when that kind of stuff happens. So we get a bit of that, and that's what I mean. Is like I'll get some of those stories, but again, like 3/4 of these matchups, I'm like, well, I don't know. I think this team did well once when I picked them like years ago, right? So
Yeah.
who knows? So I guess so. So Phil, you're gonna wait till Thursday morning is like bracket time for you. That's prime time for you, Thursday morning.
I might do Wednesday night, but it's most likely going to be
All right.
Thursday morning for sure. I'll sit there and
Okay.
man, I don't know. I hate filling out a lot of brackets too.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. I like one
Yeah.
bracket, but then you
Yeah.
sell yourself short because all these contests allow you to enter
Do
like
you
20.
fill every bracket out with the same picks, or do you just do completely
But
different each time?
but I'm skewed towards that to the point where in the early rounds I'll pick all the same things and then I'll switch the outcome.
Right.
But then if the early rounds don't go well for one, they don't go well for all of them. So what do you do?
Right.
I
Yeah.
will alternate the 50-50s, but when I do that, then I still end up getting like half of them wrong.
Right.
I can't ever put it together on one bracket. Let's put it that way.
I'm
It's not
gonna
easy,
be
man.
honest with you. I don't think I've ever actually put any effort at all into brackets. Like I don't think like I'm like I have the bias that I'm like if I know of the team and I know a few of the like Purdue for this year, right? It's like if I know of the players on the team, I'm like they'll do well and then I'll pick them to win. Like that is literally my thought process. And then the rest of the matchups, I'm like, you know what? Illinois sounds cooler than Arkansas, so I'll go with Illinois. Like it just pick the and then other times I'll be like, well, there's no way it's going to be all one seeds in the Final Four, so one of them's going to lose in the second round, and then I'll just pick one of them to I'll just randomly pick one. So
But
I don't know,
you just
it's kind of
don't
random
know
for me.
too which players are going to catch fire. Like this is the
Yeah,
time now where players make a name for themselves, guys nobody's
yeah,
ever heard of. This
yeah,
is when all eyes are on these players, and
yes,
and some of them step up. Like last year was Benedict. The Canadian
Mathurin,
player from
yeah,
yeah,
Benedict
right?
Mathurin, yeah, yeah,
Like he played for Arizona last year, and nobody knew
hmm
who he was. And then all of a sudden,
hmm
this Canadian kid from Montreal is on your screen making
yeah.
a run in the Elite Eight, and you're like, wait a second, I've never even heard of this guy all year.
Never heard of.
Okay,
Didn't even know.
right?
Didn't even know there was a Canadian guy on that
Exactly,
team. Yeah, not
exactly,
covered by
right. So
TSN or anybody else. Like no,
that's
like
right.
it's too obscure. But
But he
they
was
come
going
out of
off for
nowhere.
30
Yeah.
points a game in the tournament, and
Yeah.
then that's the beauty
Well,
of it.
because
Is
it's
it's
just
just
one
like
game. The other thing too is each of
that's
these is
right.
just one game.
Yes,
Like you're
I
saying,
love
like
that.
you don't know what the story of the season is for a lot of these teams, right? It's like guys
That's
were
right.
injured, somebody didn't get enough playing time, getting to the tournament. The coach is like, you know what? Let's just completely change the strategy because everybody studied how we play. So let's just go something different, because I think a lot of these teams like really friggin' YOLO into this tournament. Right. So you never know what's going to happen, especially some of the top teams is like, listen, they're expected to go far. Things aren't working at the half of the first game. Like that's it. Right. So you got to change things
It's
up.
true.
So you never know what'll happen. And speaking on the NFT side, because we're 30 minutes in the podcast, and we haven't talked about any NFTs or crypto or anything, but I think we've been having a great conversation. So I will say that. We are working on a little newsletter that's going to come out in the next day or two that recaps everything that you can do in Web3 for March Madness. So there's quite a few projects out there that are doing some kind of like group bracket thing or have their own kind of funny little take on doing some kind of bracket picking. So we're going to feature Rumble Kong League, Own the Moment, Knights of Degen, and a few other projects that are kind of coming out that have some sort of March Madness thing. So if you haven't spent enough time filling out your current bracket across all the different websites that you do it, there's plenty of stuff going on in NFTs. Most of those have really cool prizes, NFT-based prizes, obviously, that you can win. So we're putting that together, going to come out in the next day or two. And Phil D, we are also being featured on one of our partners' websites as
Oh boy.
celebrity bracketeers. We are going to be on the NCAA website in the Watch to Earn NBA on team, or not, I guess Bleacher Report Watch to Earn bracket group that I think anybody can join, but our photos are already in there. They already loaded us into there.
And
so
a blue check mark. A blue check mark.
So yeah, so come face us in the. I'm going to post the link. I'm going to post the first link in the podcast description that you're listening to right now. Will be the link to that bracket. So it's on the NCAA site, courtesy of our partners at Bleacher Report that we have been promoting with Watch to Earn on NBA on TNT. So they wanted us to come in and be celebrity pickers of their brackets. So come and join our group and try and beat us. I haven't decided if there's a prize yet for beating me or beating you, but we can think about that this week and maybe have something for next week. But it depends how our brackets do the first weekend, but I'm sure we come up with something.
But LG, what are they describing us as? Like what like someone comes on the website and they're like, all right, let's check out what the celebrities picked. And I don't know who else is going to be up there. But then you're going to have the two of us and people are going to be like, who the hell are these clowns? But like, what's our description? What does it say?
Good question, actually. I don't know. Did
we have a profile on there that says like, podcasters or something? I don't know. Like, what does it say?
I don't, when they asked me for this, they're like, just send us some photos of yourselves. So I was like, okay. And I just used the AI photos that we have for the podcast.
The Jonas Brothers.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I have a profile? Okay. No, I haven't picked my thing yet.
I saw a little check mark on our names.
Yeah, we got little check marks. That's for sure. So we're in the Watch to Earn. There's 623 people in here already, Phil Dean. Yeah, we're the only ones with check marks.
I cannot wait to see who else gets put in there with check marks. And if it's just us, that's a lot of pressure, LG. That's a lot of pressure as the
I think it's just us, man. I don't think like Levco or anybody else that's on their network or anybody is going to be in there. I think it's just you and me as like the weirdos. Nobody else has a profile photo. It's just you and me. And so good luck. Come on in there. And some people you can tell have entered like 20 different entries. Like it's the same person's name within a bunch of different codes. So you've got I think we've got some super hardcore people in here. So I don't know if there's a prize or anything like that yet, but we'll figure that out this week. Still a few days to make your picks, but guys, first link below, on the podcast description is the way to enter that to come and play us. Phil, we should move on from NCAA, but the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are no NCAA March Madness NFTs, which is super disappointing. I feel like it's really primed for it. I feel like people would love to mint March Madness moments like the day after they happen, right? Like there are a few better and more fun highlights, honestly, in the sports world than friggin' number 14 seed knocking off a 3 seed with a Hail Mary buzzer beater. Like that kind of stuff is like so classic. And even think last couple of years, think like the Villanova game a couple of years ago. It's like you have like championship winning moments that are so epic, and yet we have no NFTs. We have never seen NFTs from NCAA March Madness or anything. There were recur NFTs that are lost in purgatory. Those are college players, but they are not from March Madness. None of those highlights, none of those are from the actual tournament. They didn't have rights to that. They just had rights to the rest of the things because March Madness is its own bucket of rights. It's its own thing. So
I would love for there to be like a 5-minute window after every game or something. No, actually, I would love for there to be a 5-minute window, and they don't tell you when during the game, but it shows up randomly on your screen. And if you're watching, some kind of QR code comes up, which they're capable of doing, they've done before. I would love for that to happen, where if you're watching and you scan that code and you connect your Dapper wallet or whatever the hell it is, whatever wallet you want to connect, that you receive at the end of a game a specific NFT from that game, like the best play in the game. I think they're missing such a big chance with this kind of stuff, and I'm not sure who would run it. But I feel like it would be great because you'd have people kind of even more tuned in. Some would want to collect all of them. It would be the type of thing where it only lasts 5 minutes so that it's pretty scarce. And you're not able to send it to everybody else and get everybody in on it. Because that happens all the time. Yeah, we've seen it before. Yeah. Someone will send us a QR code from whatever, be like, hey, you can claim. You didn't watch, but you can claim right now by just scanning this, right?
100%. And even if it was just free, it doesn't have to make money. Like that's an easy infrastructure to set up, right? Like you've got all these other NFT projects that are able to do like massive open mints with a QR code. So just having that pop up, I feel like would be relatively simple and also like a great way for people to get connected with the game, man. Like that would make me watch more of the March Madness games to have that.
All of it. If you could
collect them all. Collect the NFT from every single game. right?
You would
So
probably set up multiple screens for every game. Seriously, set up 4 screens.
yeah,
Try and get
yeah.
one of those setups and watch to the very end to try and collect all of them.
Mhm,
At the thought of having the whole set would be
mhm,
incredible, right? So I think
mhm.
they are missing the opportunity. But I wanted to say something. Recently, you ran a contest with the First Mint Twitter page, LG, and it was asking people to let us know what the first NFT they ever minted was.
Yeah.
And the responses, for whatever reason, the contest is long over. The winner's been picked, I think, right?
I
Like
don't
the
think it
contest or
was
the
it a
win? No,
contest?
no.
I
Was it
thought
a
it was just
contest?
like I
Oh,
thought it was just like a
okay.
post. I
So
have a lot of good
so not even a
engagement farming
contest,
going these
but I
days. Yeah.
still see some responses come in. And yesterday, okay, I
Yeah.
just had a really stupid moment. It hit me really hard when it happened. I kept seeing replies to that coming in on my front page on my phone. Okay. And I'm like, wait a second here. How many people started their NFT journey with that damn Macy's Thanksgiving parade? Like, this is crazy, right? I'm like, this is about the
Yes,
50th
yes.
person that says this, okay? So I'm like, wow, was that like the big event no one's talking about where people finally got into NFTs?
Mhm,
When
mhm,
when I was also watching it and I couldn't get one because the website crashed. I'm like, how
mhm,
many people can be excited that they finally got their start
mhm.
based on something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then I go in my mentions and I look, and then I realized that it's like a bunch of bots responding the exact same thing
Yes.
over and over
Yes,
again.
I've seen that. Yes.
I was like,
Man. So this is the
okay.
weirdest thing. Hold on, let me pull up the one you're talking about. So literally we got tweeted at this like last night. So this is something there's so much weird bot shit on Twitter that people like I think, we're always trying to figure out like what Elon is doing with Twitter, but there's so much weird stuff. So like literally last night from an account called NFT.news, but the at is like JNRDRGS. And it's just at the first mint, at LGD set, at the real Phil D. First ever minted was NBA Top Shot. After that, I guess the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade NFT LOL TS Doc Delta, which is the exact same message that somebody else that like if you search that message in Twitter, it comes up 7 different times as the exact same message from 7 different accounts. And the
I was
first
so
one
disappointed, man.
is from one called Doc Delta, who responded, oh, you're right, it was a contest. So this is back on, from when we relaunched the show. Back on February 28th, we had a contest to win a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander moment from Top Shot, and we asked comment the first NFT you ever minted, and everybody said, and I forgot who won. Somebody awesome won, and this guy Doc Delta wrote that, and you responded to that person saying, "How did you even get on the website that day? It crashed for me, ha ha ha." Anyway,
Yes.
since then, 6 different bot accounts have taken that exact same message, and all of them have like an ape PFP or Do God's NFT a PFP or something like that that's clearly fake, and have tagged us in it. It's super weird, man.
Yeah,
It's
I was like,
really,
I'm like,
really strange.
because I see about one per day, and I'm like, and it hit me yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute. How many people seriously started their journey with that event? Like, is this even possible? So I went back and looked at it. I go, something's kind of fishy here. And why are they
Yeah.
still responding? This
Yeah.
contest is long over. And then I noticed that it was the exact same message responding. So are you saying I responded to a fake account, or the one I responded to was the original message?
The
'Cause I don't
original one
remember.
was the right one because that
Okay.
account is Doc Delta, who's the person who
Okay.
wrote it. But then
Man.
every other like don't get anything since then is fake, and you're gonna get it more times clearly.
Like, why though? Like, who sets
I
this
don't
up?
know.
What kind of botting is that? I don't understand what they get out of that. Is it because
It's
it's a
got to
contest?
yeah, I think it's because it's a contest, and also like just to like the more an account gets engagement from organic like safe accounts, the more that account is legitimized, even if it's a bot. Right.
Okay.
So I think that's how the algorithm works is like when they try and purge bots, they don't click on individual accounts. They're trying to look for accounts that spam, but that never get engagement. Right. So I think
That's pretty
since you and
wild.
I are organic and First Mint is an organic thing that has a lot of organic engagement, and in the algorithm has been flagged as like pretty safe. Anything that like a lot of bot accounts will try to interact with us to then get likes and responses from us, which then further legitimizes their accounts. Right. So I think that's how a lot of that stuff
Yeah,
works.
that's pretty wild.
So
But yeah,
speaking of onboarding, Phil, I think we can move on from NCAA, but obviously like a big missed opportunity there. And I will say that like in NFTs in general, and we actually, the hot take of the day today that we're going to do the contest for at the end of the show is based on how are we, how can sports NFTs onboard millions of people to Web3. And it's funny, we talk about all these solutions. We talk about how March Madness should have some kind of free NFT or really easy thing to claim. what I noticed is last week, and anybody who reads the newsletters, you guys got a full list of these in the newsletter this past Saturday, where we put out a section called Making Moves, where you can get like free NFTs or whatever's going on. A lot of different sports properties put out a free like open edition NFT claim last week, and more of them have been doing it. There is a free pack for PGA on Rainmakers, which was, you know, very core basic commons that you can only enter certain tournaments with. But still, if you want to try it, it's free. You go get some free NFTs. And then La Liga Galazos put out a free pack, also of really highly minted NFTs that probably won't have very much value, but still you get that pack opening experience. And then Getty Images on Candy, which has MLB, but now Getty is not a small name. That's like the biggest name in photos that exist and licensed photos that exist. Also putting out like a free open edition NFT. Phil, did you claim any of these? Did you use these? And do you think that that's like a good way to actually get people to start using NFTs?
I don't miss freebies. So yes, I got all of those. I'm usually all over these when I get the emails. I claim every single one of them, even though, man, I probably lost track of where all my freebies are now. There's so many things we've done and so many wallets we've minted on, or into, that I have no idea now. Like this Tune Go thing too. I've minted a ton of those. The free ones,
Tune Go. I
don't even know
NFTs,
what that is. Right. So like, I don't know. I opened my wallet the other day. I'm like, wait, I have all of these? Like, this is crazy. But they're all free and I'm not sure they're worth anything. The La Liga one was funny because I'm like, I opened my pack and I'm like, oh wow, I got some really good players. Like I got Casillas, and I think it was was it Javi, the other one? I forgot who it was. Yeah, it was. And then everyone else who started posting in our Discord on Twitter was like, yeah, wow, look what I got. And it was the same players. So I quickly realized that all you could get in that free pack or whatever it was those players. It is pretty cool. It did make me look at the packs page and see what they have available, but I didn't buy anything. So you know, possibly I feel like people, you know, if you're not into it at this point now, it's really hard to onboard new people. I don't know what it is. You know, I think people who are going to last in the NFT space are already here. I think the people who are not, I think they've had plenty of opportunities to get in, and I just don't think they're interested. And I don't know what it's going to take to get them interested. It's certainly not these freebies, because even someone like me, the first thing I did was check how much I can sell it for. Right.
Yeah. So you didn't. So those links, like, is that something you would ever share with friends? Like, because you have a lot of friends, like in different pockets of sports community, right? Like, is that something like, you know, other fantasy football buddies or anything? Is that something you'd ever be like, hey, listen, like, you know, DraftKings is a free PGA thing? No, you never do that.
I never do that, because I've done that in the past when NFTs were at their highest point, and that still wasn't enough to draw people in. You know, like I have a huge fantasy football chat. And when I posted claim your free Patrick Mahomes NFT here, none of them did it. Like none of them. Yeah. Right. So for me, that was like, all right, there really is no interest. What more can I tell them that will have them interested? I don't know what it would take. I don't even know if anything would make them claim this thing. They did not care for 1 second to claim this thing. If you received the physical version of it, maybe. I don't think that would change that much. You know, I don't know.
But how many people have physical versions of stuff? Right.
Right.
Like how many people, like the thing is that, like, you know, and I've said this many times, is that collecting NFTs and getting a lot of the physical stuff from them has been awesome, because I'm revisiting a part of my childhood where I had a lot of like action figures and cool stuff and a lot of stuff up on a shelf, same as you. Right. But it's like a lot of adults don't have that anymore. And it's only by like literally like living and breathing in the space that I actually wanted to start doing that. So I think for like the more casuals who are maybe know a bit about NFTs, maybe had a little bit of Top Shot, like I think that's such a far stretch. But at the same time, it's like, how else do you drive that? I think you have to try something like that to get it out there. But again, it's like, I think it just hinges on like the actual like value prop of getting digital collectibles is just maybe not something that like that many people are into, but I appreciate the effort. I think it's cool to do that. I think that there's a benefit there. Maybe not to bring in normally people. So maybe not for you and I to share with our friends, but for us to share with our other NFT communities, even though that keeps it very insular and you're not necessarily bringing in new people, new people. You know, a lot of these projects, a lot of these sports projects, like, listen, like there's still a lot of degens in Web3 and in crypto, and a lot of them probably bet on sports in some way or another. They might not collect Top Shots and So Rares and DraftKings super hardcore. So giving them a free NFT, something they already understand, could be helpful to bring, if anything, some of that liquidity back, right? Like I think the PGA one is really smart, because PGA has been going up a lot, right? Like they sold out their first packs a week ago for $200 each. The floor on those packs is now 407 as of the time
Can you
we're
sell the
recording
packs?
this.
Can you sell the packs?
Yes. Yeah. Not the ones, not the free pack, like the actual paid packs, the elite packs. So there's a high interest there. So I think maybe it gets the eyes of like, I would say it's beneficial, less so maybe to get like our buddies into it, but more so to get some of the bigger liquidity that's floating around in the NFT space or in the Web3 crypto space over to some of these products, which I think is a goal that like nobody will really admit to. Like, I don't think it's something like Roham will say, be like, you know, what we really need is like, we need all the people who have like tens of millions of dollars, like Dingaling. We need more Dingalings to come and buy Top Shot. Like, he won't say that, but I think some of this stuff is really geared towards that, to attracting that money.
Yeah, like I saw some headlines being made. I don't know if you posted or if the First Mint posted, but I was working all day and I saw things coming in on my phone. But I think I don't know who posted this, but somebody said that somebody came out of nowhere and spent $35,000 on Top Shot today. Was that First Mint that posted? Somebody posted
I posted that a couple hours ago.
Right.
Yeah, so there's some person, and I asked around, nobody knows who they are, totally anonymous. Jay Teeny is their name, but they spent like 35 grand on Top Shot in the last couple days, which used to be nothing, but is pretty substantial given the current climate, right? So including spending like, I think 7 grand on one of the LeBron anthology moments, like the legendary ones from his record breaker. Yeah, and they also bought like a Jason Tatum Cosmic, like that kind of stuff.
Right? So that could be the event.
That's actually a good point.
So I was thinking about that one. I think I may even mention this on either Spaces or on a podcast. I think that LeBron event would be the one event for me in sports that could bring basketball fans into Top Shot, because it's something that you want to own a piece of. And, you know, for the casual, it was such a big event for so many people, because for the new generation, they don't care about Michael Jordan. They don't care about what these previous legends did. LeBron is kind of their first legend to play the game and to
he's the greatest player of this generation. Yeah.
Right. So for them to be able to collect something from LeBron, I think for me, I'd love to see the data on that and see, you know, kind of, I don't know. For me, because we have market research backgrounds, LG, in some of the stuff we've done in the past, I would love to see some things conducted like that. Some research on, you know, what got you into the platform. You joined right after LeBron. You know, grab all the people who joined after LeBron, even if it's only 100 or whatever, and find out what brought you in here. Why are you here? Is it because of LeBron? And all of a sudden, and where did you hear about this? You wanted a piece of LeBron in history. What brought you to the platform? Right?
Yeah.
Did you just Google this, or did you find this? Somebody tell you about it? Did you see something at the arena? I'd love to know more about that stuff.
People that joined, and also I think also like acknowledging people who came back, right? Because there's a lot of people participating in NFTs and in crypto, and now like it's not. I don't think it's as segmented as it used to be. When NFTs started, I think a lot of the normal crypto people, and just to give you context on how much more liquidity and money there is in the bigger world of crypto versus NFTs, like the NFT market cap is something like $15 billion of like generally all NFTs. Probably doesn't include all of them, but you know, apes, all that kind of stuff. The crypto market cap is $1 trillion. Okay. Wow. So it's like literally 1 to 2% of the entire crypto market is NFTs. So it's nothing. It's nothing. Right. But it's one of the most interesting parts of it. So at the end of the day, even a lot of those bigger traders who maybe are trading like millions of dollars, especially on this, like times like this past weekend, a lot of them, their PFP is some kind of cool NFT, like a Punk or you know, a Pudgy Penguin or something like that, right? So NFTs are still kind of like the flavorful part of the entire crypto market. So I think in the last couple of years, it's really blended together. A lot of DeFi protocols give people NFTs now for different reasons, even if they're valueless. So it's all kind of blended together. So I think it's funny, especially at this point in time, like these sports projects are really focused. Of course, they need to go and break through. They need more than 5,000 weekly users, which is what most of them have. They need to go get average sports fans. But at the same time, I think it's important, and this is something they won't admit, that they need the liquidity of the rest of the crypto market, right? So when LeBron broke the record, I thought one of the most interesting parts, I don't know if we were talking about this last time on the podcast or I was telling somebody else about this, was that some people who hadn't talked about Top Shot in over a year were talking about it. And they're like, oh, I got to get, is anybody in line for these packs? I got to get one. And the packs sold out, and then there's the next packs, and then they rolled out 4 different, you know, hot pack drops basically between that and noon the next day. And that's the kind of stuff where it's like, and I tweeted about it, I was like, this is the kind of cultural moment that where Top Shot belongs, and where these sports NFTs really belongs. So whether it's a valuable card or an open edition one, and I think both can work. So like in this case, this new user, actually no, they've been around for a while, but they want to come drop a bunch of money on getting what they think is going to be a really important moment for the most important player of our current generation of basketball. So it's a good reason for them to come back. You're bringing in big money, but also you're bringing in all the casuals who are trading other NFTs, doing other crypto things by just giving like, hey, here's a really basic moment or just a pack from that time. So I think, coming all the way back to something like the PGA or La Liga or Getty, I don't know. Getty's dropping 1970s photos. Who fucking knows? But something like let's exclude them from this. But something like PGA, and this is back to what we're saying in March Madness. It's like, listen, like if what is the most exciting golf moment that might happen this year? Like whoever wins the Masters, or if by some miracle Tiger wins a tournament, right? And this, for all we know, if Tiger wins a tournament this year, this will be his last win ever. Right. For all we know, any win from this point might be his last. People want that immediate gratification. They don't want to wait.
That's right.
Nobody has even PGA highlight license right now. Nobody has that. This Rainmakers is just the cards where you just play them in fantasy. That's it's fucking boring from the collectible standpoint. But it's like, who is going to make friggin' Tiger's last tournament win and get the immediate NFT, even if it's an open edition or it costs $2 or $5? God, that would sell so much. And so many normal people would want that, but you have to capture it in that moment, Phil D. I think that's the key to in terms of minting stuff to demand for both the degen crowd and for the casuals. I think it's got to be something like that. And it doesn't exist. Nobody does that. Nobody does that right now. Nobody has that.
One concept I really like, and I don't know, it would have to be kind of improved on what we've seen how people do it, is the ability to kind of autograph moments or digital assets. I mean, with technology these days, you should be able to, but it's almost like, what would it be worth if it was just slapped on there? Nothing. But if a player had to physically sort of log into some sort of system and sign it, and whatever, I don't even know how that would work. I think that would be really, really cool. I've always been.
I mean, autograph was that, right? They're signed,
right?
But they're not moments. They're not highlights or anything like that. They're
they're
just a card with Tiger's face on it.
For me, now that the tone has been set by Top Shot with moments, actual videos, that means a lot more to me than anything else. Like with Candy, they just had my biggest complaint for the longest time was that they're just cards. I'm like, man, what do I care about this? Honestly, right? They did grow on me eventually, and I know a lot of people don't like the Candy cards, but for me, it was like, what the hell is this? I don't care about this. But then when they brought the play of the day, which was an actual highlight of every day, I was like, yo, this is cool, man. Like, Vladdy's big home run to win that game last night, I can own it tomorrow. How dope is that? I don't have to wait for a drop 3 months from now. I can get it tomorrow. Yeah. And it'll only be minted to whatever people minted to that day, which was only like 100 or 200 at first, right?
So I think that is like, again, when that started, like, and we even in the first minute, some people were trying to collect one from every single day, and they were $15 each, a good price point. And some of them wouldn't get minted a lot, so it made it scarcer. Like, I love that, right? And baseball is a long ass season. There's ended up being 180 of those, right? So it's a long ass freaking season. So and Candy had a lot of other issues with users and supply, right? Like if that was the only thing that Candy put out, maybe it would have been hotter if there were no packs, if there were no other rarities or anything. It's like, no, every day is an open edition. That's it. Right. And you got to get the play of the day. That's it. There's nothing else. Maybe that would work. And also, Phil, I will say, like, just because it's not the most hype thing in the world doesn't mean it's not a good NFT. And I think it's something where it's like, we're not able to separate that right now, but it's like, yes, like maybe a lot of baseball fans want to collect a daily NFT at the highlight of the day. Maybe not for $15 a day, because that's going to be really expensive over the year. But for $1 or $2 or $3 or something like that, or even just an open edition, like a lot of people want to do that, right? And again, it doesn't have to be the most popular thing on Twitter for it to be a good NFT either, right? Especially in sports.
That's right. Oh, I agree. But
yeah,
I think we're, and what's funny about those Candy ones, LG, is that, it was a power move to collect every single one for the whole year because they did get something really special. But just like everything else, and we're so like kind of naive to this, just like everything else, had they waited until the very end of the season to buy all of them, okay?
And I think that's something definitely, like, I think, if you ask someone like Top Shot to do that, I don't know if it would really, I don't know if that necessarily works the same way for Top Shot of like doing a play of the day every day of the season, because you might end up with some pretty bad stuff if there's only like one game. And also it's not, I don't know, it's not like NBA is not necessarily like as much a daily thing like MLB, but I think that immediate turnaround gratification, if you can even incorporate that into the broadcast or something like that, I think that would definitely at least drive something. I think another part that's important is that when you watch sports broadcasts, now there's like, it took a long time, but there's a huge social media integration, right? Where it's like, tweet us the photo of you as a fan and you could win this or like whatever, right? And then they show those photos later on. So I think that's where eventually this kind of stuff needs to land. And I don't know if it can, because you really need buy-in from the leagues and their broadcast partners to do that. So it'd be really expensive maybe, but it's like doing that where it's like, you're going to get a digital collectible from this game. That's like the best highlight. The same way when you're watching a broadcast, Phil D, where they're like, today's friggin', Tim Hortons player of the game is John Morant or something like that. Right. It's like, that's the kind of thing where you need something at that like broadcast level that then is like, today's moment of the game is this dunk. So click on this QR code to get it as an NFT, right? Like that's a level which you can do, and then hope that you can convert 1% of those claimers to actually using the product regularly, right?
Well, you have to have more to it though. It can't just be claim and here, hold it or sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to be now use it to do this, or, collect 10 of them to get this. There has to be more engagement that's available right away, not in a week or two when they already don't care anymore. That's the main issue, I think, is people they claim it. What's going to happen with this? Oh, nothing's going to happen with this. All right, I'm gone. And when you do something with it a month from now, I'm not going to care anymore, right? I'm surprised like F1 hasn't done anything, or even NASCAR during races, or any of those, right? All these other sports that people watch, I'm surprised we haven't kind of evolved there. And I don't know if it's a licensing issue or what it is. But like we said earlier, with March Madness coming up, I think that would be such a huge opportunity, right?
That's it.
Brand new F1 season started. You've got North America's attention now with the Drive to Survive series. And, the irony, and I don't want to switch the subject, you were still talking NFTs, but the irony is we've been watching F1 forever, LG, since we were kids.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was because Jacques Villeneuve, when he was on the circuit, was such a big
we had Canadian
that we were hooked, and he won the championship. But the irony for me is that everyone has jumped on board now with Drive to Survive. So they've added 2 races in the US with Miami and Vegas. Every American and Canadian and everyone on this side of the ocean wants to watch F1 now, or this a couple years ago, because of that documentary.
Because of Drive to Survive. That's right.
And we are arguably about to have the 2 most boring seasons in F1 history last year and this year. Okay. So I've actually noticed that they're starting to lose the audience that they gained already. Like, it's wild. A lot of the people that were religiously watching are now not interested anymore, because they wanted a repeat of the Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen showdown that came down to the last race where Lewis got screwed and didn't win the title. They wanted a repeat of that. And guess what they've had? They've had the complete opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton is no longer competitive in races, barely.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen's winning every race. There's a chance that he wins every single race this year.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that shows you, if you're not engaging your people, how fast you can lose the audience. Something as simple as that. And it's the same with NFTs. If you're not going to engage people beyond just giving them something for free, it's not going to work. Nobody cares about that. Cool. I got this. Now what? What can you do for me next? Right.
That's a really, really good point about storytelling, right? Is that like sports are so sold on narrative, right? And that's like what the NBA has done a great job of, is like, okay, let the players tweet, let them post Instagram, and let's build all these juicy narratives, and that's what the NBA, like, sports live on that. Like, can LeBron ever return to the finals? Can he be blah, blah, blah? Can Steph Curry do this? Can Kevin Durant do that? Right? Like, it's like so much of sports is built on storylines. So when a sport gets boring and the league is grasping at straws for storyline, it starts to suffer. And maybe that's something that NFTs need to reflect, both to tell the story of the sport, but also for themselves to be a story, which is what drove the first growth of NFTs, was that it was a story. Obviously the story was prices going up, but still it was a story of like, here's what's going on with these things. And that's honestly, I'll even tell you that's some of our most listened to podcasts and most opened to newsletters is stuff that is telling more story that people haven't heard or are really interested in. Right. So That's something that really, really matters, Phil. So those are good thoughts. We're going to come back around to this topic at the end, just in a couple minutes, because we do have the contest for mass adoption for the hot take of the week. So we're going to come back to that. But Phil, there is one big thing in sports that I wanted to ask you about. I got to skip a lot of other stuff we want to talk about today because it's kind of boring. But the main thing I wanted to ask you, this past weekend, did you watch Power Slap 1?
No, I cannot watch Power Slap. There's something so disturbing about it, LG. I watch UFC. I can watch Connor break his leg. I can watch all that stuff. It doesn't bother me. There is something seriously disturbing about the way they hit each other in that sport with the swollen faces, man. Like, the guy's face is already looking like it's been blown up by something. And he takes one final smack, and then he just falls. And those guys are holding him up.
So for anybody who doesn't
watch that, man,
Power Slap is a sport. Like, the UFC has just bought, I guess, the official Power Slap league.
This is Dana. Dana's little baby.
Dana went and bought Power Slap, and it's basically like a competition where two people, and it's like UFC. There's men's and women's, stand at a podium and then take turns slapping each other. And I don't know how you win other than knocking the other person out. But all the highlights I see is just one person, and you get to wind up. So they'll be like 1, 2, 3,
like a helicopter swing.
Spank the other person right in the face, and the other person goes down immediately, knocked out, and people kind of catch them. And then I think they have 10 seconds to be back standing at the podium and be completely unfazed, kind of like when a fighter gets knocked down, right?
Wait, before you keep going, people catch them the way, those church things you watch where the guy's preaching all that stuff and people are vanishing. Yeah, where people are passing.
It's like a trust fall. Yeah.
Someone's always behind them to catch them. This is how they catch them. They lay them down. They wait till they wake up, and then it's their turn to slap the hell out of the other person.
I don't understand. I don't understand how you how they decide who goes first, because I feel like whoever goes first has an enormous advantage, because if you're going second, you've already been slapped in the face by somebody as hard as they can before you then have to return the favor. So I don't even understand how that works.
Sense.
I don't even understand how it goes for more than one slap, because also the thing too is that listen, fighting, some of the boxing or UFC, people when they're standing, they fight. It's hard to land a punch, and it's even harder to land a punch in a spot that actually matters. Like, hitting somebody directly in the face, like the forehead or kind of nose, is you break their nose, whatever. But it's hitting somebody right in that spot in the chin or in the jaw, and you knock them out, and you could also give them a severe concussion. You kill somebody hitting them in the temple. So it's I don't know, man. It's a pretty twisted thing, and I agree with you. It's a little disturbing, but I did want to see if it's something that you watched.
I can't. I told you,
okay.
I have a stomach for stuff like that. I can watch all those cop and medic shows where people are just dying.
Yeah, but
all this crazy stuff.
Different. Yeah, this is purposeful
something
injury.
About that one video of the guy with the really swollen face, and you're this guy could be one shot away from dying. And
yes,
right in the face. They let the other guy just light his face on fire, and he slowly just passes out from the hit and just dies, right? Mm-hmm. But his face was already so bloody and man, I don't know. It's just not my thing. I wouldn't watch it. I don't care, because it would also be the same thing. What are we watching? Are we going to watch the same thing every time? It's just a slap. You're not doing anything else. What's next? Kicking the guy in the head? I don't know. It doesn't.
Somebody did write a comment. I don't know why
Dana loves it so much.
One person wrote a comment, be this is great. What's next? Stabbing league?
But what's next?
Stab each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say, Phil, that for a long time,
come on.
I thought UFC was barbaric and stupid, and a lot of people still do. So I would say that maybe early on in UFC, people were this is dumb. Why would you have a karate guy fight a sumo? That makes no sense. People are getting severely injured. We shouldn't do this. And now UFC is enormous. So it's maybe Power Slap is one of those things that at first you and I are this is terrible. It's barbaric. We shouldn't do this. But maybe in a couple of years, Power Slap has a Conor McGregor level athlete who's Canadian, and we rally around that person, and we're super into it. You never. No. I'm just saying, never say never with Power Slap,
because most sports have things that have never been accomplished, and you kind of keep watching to see if that'll ever happen. Even when you watch snowboarding competition. Yeah. Even this past year at the X Games, so-and-so completed the first whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
something that's never been done.
Yeah.
What's the evolution of slapping? Seriously, what? I don't get it. Wait. You do it. You do it with one finger, you knock the guy out with one finger slap only. It doesn't make sense, man. I don't understand what the evolution.
Somebody who's never been knocked out. Somebody who's never been knocked out. That's the evolution of slapping.
Okay. Well, then it can't
longest
be ordinary
non-knockout streak.
Go get people like Goldberg and celebrities and have them knock each other. I'll watch that. You get some
Oh,
big names
man.
like that. Like I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg slapping the hell out of each other. I'll watch that. But two regular people, hey, this guy's an accountant, this guy's whatever. I don't want to see that. I don't get anything out of that. That's ridiculous. I don't like it.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Let's go to the hot take of the week. We've had a lot of good stuff to talk about today. So thanks everybody for listening this far. This week's hot take is, what is the missing ingredient that will onboard millions of fans to sports NFTs? And again, this is our new segment, the weekly hot take, where you tell us basically what your hot take is on that topic, and then we read the best ones on the air and we pick a winner. And I'm going to tell you right now, anybody listening, the weirder the better. That's like that. We're getting a lot of answers for these. So the stranger and more unique and actually shorter, the better. I know a lot of you guys want to write these like essays and give like a really, really reasonable response. I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff that's going to stand out. You guys listen to the show, you know the vibe. The weirder stuff you have, the better. So Phil, I went ahead and shortlisted 6 of them because we don't have time to read like 40 of them. Actually, I have 8, so I'm going to read them to you. And Phil, you tell me which ones you enjoy. Okay. So this first one is from, and thank you to everybody who submitted responses. I just gave you some direction on how to try and win next time. From Wisdom Tooth, bubblegum. Every pack you buy, you get a sports NFT. So put it in gum. Put sports NFTs in gum. It's the reverse of baseball cards.
Okay, that's all right.
Phil doesn't like that. Phil doesn't like that.
Hey, wait, hold on. Last time I started commenting on every single reply, then
yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, we don't have time for that. That's too long. It's too long. Okay,
let me hear them out, and I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, from Dr. Lumpia. Target the younger generation with cross promo examples. Play Fortnite against Paul George and win an exclusive NBA skin that's an NFT. Own that NFT and you get a rare PG moment. Watch a Sixers game and use the hardened beard filter on your IG post and get a beard POAP. Use your .swoosh account from Nike to buy swag with NFC chips, etc., etc. So that's Dr. Lumpia. Okay. From Mr. X. So many of us are here because of the first mint. Okay. Continued platform support of content creators goes a long way. I agree. I don't know if that's I don't know if propping us up is necessarily the way to get millions on, but I like that you're thinking that way, Mr. X.
Am I missing something here? Are these supposed to be hot takes?
I don't know. They're just like a question you answer. I don't know what a hot take would be. We can expand it over time to make it more of a hot take. Okay. From Iced Lamello 1, directly trying to onboard kids. I assume most people got into trading cards and other collectibles as a kid, so this feels like a no-brainer. Kids spending their parents' money will single-handedly start the next sports NFT boom. From Infinity Sports Picks. You guys are too young, but remember infomercials? What do you mean we're too young? What the fuck? I'm not 12. Dapper has enough products where they can do a 30-minute infomercial late night. Teach them how easy and fun it is using Dapper Wallet. Start with NBA Top Shot and then the rest of Dapper products. And then he tags you, the real Phil D.
Why me?
Okay. I don't know. From Shamuni13. And their other name is Shamalama. Shamalama. Maybe commercials that ask people to scan a barcode to create an account and win something during big ticket events like March Madness, big games, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Bombard the world like they do with gambling apps. Okay. And from Mr. NFT, with T being spelled like tea, the drink. Hot take, make floor price go up. Fire emoji. And then from Smurf Diesel, the last one is the meme of like the aliens guy from the History Channel with the crazy hair where he says aliens. Instead, it doesn't say aliens, it says Dapper, handshake Amazon, like handshake emoji, digital marketplace, because some people think that the Amazon marketplace will be on Flow, which I don't think it will. Phil D, do any of those stand out to you?
Oh my goodness. Well, see, I missed most of the day, so I didn't get to check the replies myself. I like to go through those and see what they're all about. I mean, I have to say the infomercial one is actually really interesting. I'm not going to lie. You don't see anything on TV in terms of I don't think Dapper ever went to TV. That's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. I wonder what a TV ad would have done. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Maybe not much, but that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
I do like the floor one.
Mm-hmm.
Floor, where was that? Floor go up.
Floor
That's
go
pretty
up.
bold.
Yeah.
Floor
Hot take,
go up
make
is
floor
really
price go
bold.
up. Yeah.
Really good one. That's in my top 3 for sure. Just because it's straight to the point, like you said. I don't know. You just
Mm-hmm.
read a few. Somebody wrote a novel, like you said. The novels is too much when you write a novel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with floor price go up. I'll go with the infomercial, and I will
Okay.
go with. I really like
You can
what
only pick
Mr.
one. You have to pick a winner.
I will. These are my final 3.
Okay,
I
okay,
really
okay.
like what
Okay, so
Mr.
these are the
X said.
nominees. This is like America's
Yeah,
Funniest Home Videos, where there's 3 at the end, and then you find out who
yeah.
wins. Yeah.
I I do like the constant support for content creators, but it's not spicy enough.
Sorry, Mr. X.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's major kudos to that. And it's very true. It's just not spicy enough. I like spice. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's my final 2. The other submissions, Docs was very good, Dr. Olympia, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get lost in these replies. You know me, right? My attention
Mm-hmm.
span is doesn't work like that. But
Okay.
I did like what he said. So I will go with the finalist being the infomercial. Um, and 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 actually I did love what Smurf said as well. But yeah, I'm going with the infomercial and
Oh,
floor go up.
infomercial. Hold on, where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, from Infinity Sports Picks. So
I
the
like
picks
that.
are Infinity Sports Picks with you guys remember infomercials. So doing infomercials about Top Shot, and from Mr. NFT hot take, make floor price go up, right? Those are the nominees.
Yes. Yes. So and the winner
And
is, and I'm going to
hold
pick
on,
the
wait,
winner.
and
I'm going to
what
give
they're
my
winning before
inspiration.
you say anything, the winner
That's a good
is
question.
getting a Ballers NFT and a Sneakers NFT. And the
Wow.
sneakers has a pigeon on it. It's like one of the special NYC ones. So it has a pigeon on the sneaker. Very special.
Okay. Well, in that case, the winner of this fantastic Ballers and Sneakers NFT with the pigeon on it, I'm going to have to go with the infomercial. I like that one. And
Oh,
the
ding, ding,
reason
ding,
being
ding,
LG,
ding. Infinity Picks.
the reason being LG is not because Infinity Picks called us young. I love that too, because we are getting old. I really like the fact that he mentioned infomercials, because I have not heard that word in maybe more than 10 years. And I know that every time we stayed up late at night as kids, or if you went to a sleepover at somebody's house and you didn't go to bed all night and you had the TV on, you would watch like the movie, like Die Hard or Rambo, something your parents didn't let you watch. You'd always watch it at your friend's house. But you would spend most of the night watching infomercials on TV. Some of them were raunchy, right? The ones were like, "Hey, baby, call, whatever number." We'd call it, be laughing, and whatever.
We'd call you.
Or
Did
you'd have
it
those.
cost like $10 a call when you had to do that? I didn't do that.
Well, if you did it from the other kid's house, use their house phone, then you're not going to take the hit for it. That kid will take the hit for it. And then you'd always have like the club on a car. Remember the club? That was a big one 20 years ago. Was the club that you put on your car so the car doesn't get stolen? That was another big one. I have such a memory of infomercials that I would have loved to see a Dapper commercial. How dope would that be? Seriously, I'd love to see where they go with the commercial. I'd love to see kind of the NFTs come to life in the commercial, and I would love to see what it does for onboarding new people, or for just putting general interest out there. So I love the idea. That's a good one. So congrats.
Tired of boring old collectible sports cards?
Yeah.
Now you can collect Now you can collect a Bruce Brown moment from the fourth quarter of a blowout loss to the Pacers.
I think that should be our next contest, LG, is what would you put in a Dapper Labs commercial if you were in charge of marketing to run the commercial? Now,
we need a mega commercial. We need a mega contest where people make their own like 30-second infomercial.
That'd be a really good one. I really like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I really like that idea, and have a set of prizes for it. That'd be really cool. But obviously everybody would go back to the Roham story and probably show him on a yacht or private jets.
Do you like CEOs that ride yachts with hot babes and models? Well, we've got the product for you.
Anyways, yeah. So that was a good one. I like the Infinity Picks. Congratulations on a good submission, and bringing back some really pretty cool memories of infomercials. I don't know what it is. Awesome. I don't think too many people have memories like that, but I do.
Perfect. There you go. So there you have it. Dapper Labs, So Rare, everybody else, DraftKings. Start making some 30-minute long infomercials where you talk about the product. Get the collectors on there. Make it a whole jamboree. Put it on YouTube so people can watch it as they please. And you are going to drive the millions of late night people who are just flipping channels. You're going to get them on over to the product. I love it. Phil D, another great episode of the First Minute, another fantastic Monday, best part of the week recording these. So thank you for joining us from your scam car. Appreciate that. And I'll see you. I want. Who do you think is going to win between you and me on the bracket on the Bleacher Report one?
Oh, I'm definitely going to win, LG. I already saw my son's bracket, and I saw what he picked, and he watches a little bit of college basketball. But I say this, but the bottom line is I'll probably lose to both of you. I'm not going to lie. Because the year where I say all the 1 seeds are going to make it, and this is how my strategy is, I'll end up picking that, and I'll probably end up being wrong. While he has like Xavier or a team like that winning it all. I saw his bracket. I'm like, Xavier. I'm like, who the hell picks Xavier? But
because it's a cool name, that's why. I always gravitate towards cool names.
That usually works.
Like that worked a couple years, like Gonzaga, like the 1 year Gonzaga broke out. Like it's always when there's a cool name, you always pick that. Right. So Xavier, I'm like, yeah, man, Dr. Xavier. I love that shit. I love X-Men. So I always go Xavier. I'm like, I definitely want them to beat X-Men. Like Arkansas or any of that kind of, or like, Christian Appalachian University or whatever those other ones are. Like unknown.
Oh, there's a lot
colleges.
of those. Yeah. Go look at the bracket.
Exactly.
It's wild.
All right. Phil D, will have a safe drive home. Oh,
sorry, I have one more thing I want to say. One more thing. If you have not done so already, go on either Instagram or Twitter and search the words Lion and Montreal. Okay. I am begging you to search the words Lion and Montreal and watch the video that is associated with that. And that's all I'm going to say for now. The long story short is that someone walking their dog spotted a lion in someone's backyard. Okay. It's a French speaking person. So if you don't speak French, it's not as fun, but it's still exciting. Mm-hmm. And that person put this video out there where they see a lion in someone's actual backyard, just hanging out there, walking. And they said, and the pages that put it out on Instagram all said it was in Montreal because it's a French-speaking person. So the city of Montreal just blew up. There it is.
It is a lion. It's a lion in someone's
backyard. You got to hear this.
Ici, Abby. Reste au pied.
You got to hear the beginning of it. Oh, my God.
What the hell?
From the beginning. You have to see it from the beginning. It's not the beginning. That's the wrong
That's
video.
not the beginning?
No, you have to see where she says, il y a un lion. Yeah, right there. Okay. She's going absolutely ballistic about a lion. Okay. All right. And it is a lion. The problem is that all these pages on Instagram said that it was in Montreal, and it is not. Okay. So if you go in the comments, the people of Montreal and Quebec are losing their shit that they say it's in Montreal because people are calling the police department nonstop to say someone in the city has a lion. You need to do something about it. It turns out to be in Clarington, Ontario. And it turns out that it's at some kind of like wildcat zoo or something. And that's just their yard in the back. Okay. But it caused some chaos the entire weekend. I can't believe I forgot to send it to you, but just watch the video. And it is pretty kind of weird though. The lion is there staring at the little dog that she's walking, ready to absolutely
for good reason,
destroy it.
If you're walking a little dog near a lion, it's definitely going to stare at you. Starving, man. It's out in the winter.
And you understand Quebec dialect, please go watch that video. Especially we should tag Art. But I just seeing the level of anger from people in Quebec that it wasn't actually in Quebec and they were being blamed for having lions in people's backyards. That's the fun I got. I go straight to the comments with these things, man. Always a good time. Find the version of that. You'll love it. You'll watch it about 100 times.
I love it. Thanks for leaving us with that note, Phil D. So guys, look up Lion Montreal. It's not a very good quality video, but it is kind of funny. The way the lion is staring at the person filming is quite good. So make sure you check it out.
And she tells her dog to shut the hell up at the end of the video. That's it. You didn't get that far, but it's fantastic in English.
You told me in English. Go back, find a different one. All right, Phil D. Have a great drive home, and thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you guys next week on the First Mint.
See you next time.